What's going on, everybody? Soloyaker here. And on July 15th, there is a council meeting. There are links in the description below. It's July 15th at 3 p.m. This is actually a 2-day video, and because there's just been so much more information coming out. So let's get into this video, and I'll see you at the end. What's going on, everybody? Soloyaker here. And we're going to be giving an update on Miss Poirier. Miss Poirier, I hope you enjoy this video because I found out a lot of interesting facts about everything. But the funny thing is that's not her homestead. If she doesn't live in Clearwater, how does she hold that seat?
No, but I would just like to make a comment about, just to correct the record for the council and for our residents and regarding my employment contract. So I am in compliance with my employment contract. I do reside in Clearwater by definition. That is explained in the contract. I understand that for some members of the public that try to look for that, because my address and my family's address is protected, that information is not easily available. But we do have it in writing from the property appraiser's office that I have complied, and that information is in both the legal department and in the HR department.
And you just heard her, right? You heard her. I am in compliance with her contract. And mind you, under the contract, their charter, not their contract, but their charter, they have to be a resident of Clearwater. Period. That's it. And so now we're going to go through A, B, and C of Miss Poirier's friggin' contract, because I called the property appraiser, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video, where I'm going to tell you what the property appraiser told me. So let's get into, let's go through this step by step. What you're looking at right here, this is the city charter. This is the first thing they have to follow. And as you can see in the first sentence, employee shall establish residency within the city within 1 year of April 4th, 2023. And just to let you a little fun fact, she got this property in January of 2024. And then you notice, if you go all the way to the bottom, employee shall spend no more than 180 evenings at the property. Let that sink in. Now, when you get into B, the parties further agree that the employee's residency requirement described in Section 2A of the agreement and Section 3.01 of the city charter cannot be satisfied while the employee actively claims homestead outside the city. And letter C, the parties recognize that the employee's spouse, Adam Poirier, is a deputy chief or deputy fire chief of St. Pete Beach, is not a party to this agreement, nor is the employee's spouse required by Florida law or the city charter to relocate to the city. Well, that's a farce, because guess what? That's what the city charter says, and Adam Poirier doesn't have some kind of special agreement or a special thing that for him that he must live in St. Pete. You know, so for that reason, the employee's spouse may continue claiming homestead at the resident dwelling located outside the city, and including after April 4th. Now, I'm hoping you're paying attention to this. I'm really hoping you're paying attention. That is what the charter says. And because Mr. Margolis decided, he was like, oh, I got to do something about this, and I rewrote it. And if you don't believe me, I'll let him say it.
Now, sure, we could have just glossed over that. That would have been the easy thing to do. That would have been the opaque thing to do. I could have written this contract in a way that was silent, made no acknowledgement or recognition. That, I believe, would have been a disservice to everyone in this city, including the city manager. So instead of doing that, we set the expectations very clearly as to how she could establish residency, specifying that she would even have to go so far as to affirmatively notify the property appraiser that she was no longer living with her husband at the home they jointly own as a marital estate outside the city of Clearwater, but elsewhere in Pinellas County. So these protections in here, in this contract, are designed to uphold the public trust, to provide transparency as to the process, to give certainty as to how we establish someone's residency, and to avoid any confused expectations either from the manager with whom the contract was negotiated, the council with whom the manager and I serve, and the general public. I just don't understand where people are coming from here, because I find nothing wrong with what was done. And as far as I know, the city manager is in full compliance with the contract. I have zero concerns. I regret only the fact that I've had to take the last 7 minutes of my life explaining this.
Now, I want to make it very clear, with all that word salad that this attorney did, well, attorney, let's see what your contract says, and we're going to look at that real quick, and guess what? Look at this, everybody. Yeah, he has to be part of it. Why is Margolis's his contract with the city not the same as Jennifer.Poirrier's? You can look at these two and notice that there's significant differences, right? So we're about to get to the end of this, and I'm going to talk about what the property appraiser told me. So yeah, I make a phone call on Monday. I'm going to put up a screenshot up here so you understand what's happening. But I called the property appraiser, and I could actually see these 3 properties up here, right? And so I give him a call. I'm like, hey, I've got some questions about this stuff. And I'm like, who are the people that are homesteading these homes? I'm like, is it just Jennifer.Poirrier and her husband, or is it Christopher Losky? Is it her daughter? Like, what's going on? And so they go through this whole thing and say, hey, the Cleveland Street is being homesteaded by Kaylee Valdez. And if you don't know, Kaylee Valdez is a 20-year-old woman that works as a police aide for the city of Clearwater. And she has, I believe it's a $380,000 condo that she works part-time with. Because here's her pay stubs, just so that you know I'm not lying. She works part-time. You think that a 20-year-old can afford this condo on her own? More than likely not. All right, now we're going to move on to Christopher Losky, or Losky, or whatever. His picture's all up here. This is where they resided at, or Jennifer.Poirrier and Christopher Losky own property, right? You see that up there, right? Cool. Well, he's the one that's homesteading that property. And then we get on to Adam.Poirrier, and then you can see that property right there. This is the one property that actually has Adam and Jennifer homesteading a property. So we know she is not homesteaded in Clearwater at this point. So I after the phone call, after all this was said, well, one of my whistleblowers gave me a phone call, and you probably heard it right there at the last clip, and you can see, because yeah, I get a phone call, and then all this other information starts coming out. And as you can see, these are properties that I was able to witness 5 days ago. You can see the timestamp, and then you can see, without doxing her, these are the properties. So then my whistleblower called me and was like, hey, all the properties disappeared. They magically disappeared. And I'm like, no way. There's no possible way this could have happened, right? You would think. But guess what? Sure as shit. And here's all the screenshots to all the properties that I could see at one point, but now they're all mysteriously disappearing. Why? If you live in Clearwater and you are abiding by all the things that you're saying, why is this happening? Why are you doing a cleanup job? You know, this doesn't make any sense. So, what I would suggest is leave your comment down below and tell me what you think. Because I think there's some shenanigans going on in Clearwater, and all I can do is show you the facts. These are all facts, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But don't forget, hit that like, share, and that subscribe button, all that good stuff. And trust me, Clearwater, we'll see you on July 15th.